Welcome back to LinkU Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is the sequel. Comes out in 141 days today. And I want to talk about some really cool glitches in Breath of the Wild that are, unfortunately, completely useless nowadays. Mainly because we had the discovery of the BLSS, the Bow Lift Smuggle Slide. I use that in my videos all the time here. It's basically a glitch where you pick up a bomb in a smuggled state, then you step up a ledge, and suddenly you can slide through the air. That glitch is extremely powerful, especially for long distance movements. If you want to go from one place to the opposite side of the map, that glitch is perfect. You can basically slide there all the way. Now, we had two other glitches that were really good at that specific mechanic before the BLSS was found, and those are the glitches I want to talk about today, because at least one of them I can confidently say is actually the glitch that got me into Breath of the Wild speedrunning, or at least that made me commit to it. And that glitch is a bullet time bounce. In the 100% speedrun route, where you literally speedrun everything, like you speedrun everything in the game, there is exactly 0 BTBs at this point. And this is because they take a long time to set up. They are not necessarily consistent. I'm gonna try and go for one of them here. This is one that you would see in the all dungeon speedrun. Let's see if I can fly with it at all to show you what the BTB actually used to look like. At first, you want to shoot an arrow to notify the enemy, so that the enemy will eventually walk up to this position. Then you want to aim to be able to jump on top of the enemy and then go into bullet time to collide with the enemy. And when you then press the Y button, which gets you out of bullet time, you perform a BTB. These tricks are obviously extremely cool to look at. When you get them right, they seem incredibly powerful, because obviously you speed up from basically 0 to full speed right away. And you can see how much distance I'm actually able to close with the BTB here. So I made it from basically next to Gerudo Town all the way up here to the shrine. Again, unfortunately, BLSSs can do what the BTB can do faster and more efficient. And I say unfortunately again because I think they look really cool, but the reality just is that they take too long to set up. But there's one thing that BTBs are really good at, that a BLSS cannot do, and we still have no glitch, other than the other one I'm going to talk about, which is even harder, that allows us to get both distance and height, at least when it comes to long distance. Yes, we have wind bombs, which are again performed by dropping a bomb, placing another one, blowing up the first one. That way you get height and distance, but the problem is they do not have as much range, as much reach as the bullet time bounce does. Another trick that is really cool to look at, that I'm not going to be able to perform right now because they are incredibly difficult to do. I have a video about them on my YouTube channel, my main channel, is the stasis bounce. In the past, we had a trick where we charged up an object with stasis and then essentially jumped into the object, getting blasted forward. In a specific timing, the object would then hit Link instead, and Link would go flying. This is probably the least glitchy way to travel fast in this game, because it seems like that is actually an intended mechanic. I don't know if it is. I don't know if the amount of speed that you get is really something that the developers intended, but it's certainly something you can do. Now, there is also something called a stasis bounce, where instead of just jumping into the object, you time a shield jump to collide with the stasis object perfectly to shield jump into the object when it gets blasted. That gives you an incredibly amount of speed and distance. Again, I'm gonna link my stasis bounce tutorial in the description if you want to see them. They are incredibly satisfying to pull off and can also make you travel through the entire overworld super quick. They are super restricted though at the same time, because obviously you need a, well, not obviously, I didn't actually explain this yet, but you need a box, a metal or wooden box, to perform them at least somewhat consistently. And then the shield jump is very very precise. It's super easy to miss. So can't really recommend the stasis bounce. And even if you do pull it off, it's slower than just simply going for the wiggle bombs, you know, the bow lift smuggle slide. So unfortunately, with that nature, some of the coolest looking glitches in this game are unfortunately just not used anymore because that slide exists. And as useless as the slide is, it's almost a little bit sad because of how cool those old techniques looked. But obviously, in a speedrun, you do whatever is fastest. For me, the bullet time bounce was the reason that I really wanted to speedrun this game. That was the trick that completely changed the any percent speedrun when I first rediscovered it in 2019. People would use bullet time bounces all around the Great Plateau. Basically to get from shrine to shrine, where nowadays people use the bullet smuggle slide because it can be performed without the paraglider, just like the bullet time bounce. And that is fine because it's more consistent and faster, but the BTB was really a special glitch. If you were around during times of BTBs, I'm sure you were very impressed when you saw them for the first time. And the thing is this, as much as I like the idea of the BTB, as cool as it looks, if you've ever done a speedrun yourself, you just know how unforgiving these BTBs can be. Not only can it be a little bit tricky to hit the... of course, we get the dead angle again. Not only can it be a little bit tricky to hit the enemy in general, right? The real problem that can occur is that you hit the enemy, but not on the right spot. Because depending on where you collide with the enemy, that's actually gonna change... I don't know why this Korok is so cursed. That's actually gonna change your trajectory in terms of where you are gonna be flying. So that's something that happens all the time. Very frustrating. You get the right... you bounce on the enemy correctly, but you slightly miss the right particle on the enemy's back, causing you to go somewhere completely different and lose like a minute. And yeah, that obviously sucks and is the reason that I'm okay with the fact that BTBs don't exist anymore, but I still love showing them off. They are an extremely cool strat to look at. Stasis bounce is different. Stasis bounce I would have never wanted to be in a run, mainly because of how inconsistent they were. Like, people at one point tried to make them a part of the all dungeon speedrun, but I'm not kidding you, like most people had like a 1 out of 8, maybe 1 out of 10 consistency rate of the stasis bounces, so I'm glad that they never really were a thing. If you had to rely on a glitch with that little success rate, I mean, I don't think that's a good idea. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Those two are the glitches. There's a bunch of other glitches that are useless. Most of them are not necessarily speed tech. Obviously, I already talked about the stasis launches. There's stuff like the Hinox curse, which is probably the most broken glitch in the entire game. It literally does nothing though in terms of going fast, so obviously it's not used. It's essentially a glitch where you push a Hinox into a waterfall and then suddenly the entire physics engine of the game breaks down and objects start flying around. Little recommendation of me to type that into YouTube. Boomerang curse or the Zalfos curse are different versions of it that could also give you some funny results when looking them up. That's not really relevant for speedrunning. I really wanted to talk about the BTB and the stasis bounce. Now, one thing that I briefly want to talk about before I end today's episode, you see how I just got the Mizai Zuma Shrine location on my minimap? That is actually enough to get the percentage point, the 0.08 percentage point on the minimap, which is why most people consider this bottom left corner thing here, the 32.5 out of 100. Most people don't consider this a real completion checker. What this really is a map completion tracker. It tracks how much objects you have found on the map, which is why it counts for towers, it counts for Koroks, it counts for when divine beasts return to their original location, and also when you first activate them. And I, in this playthrough, will only go for 100% map completion, because it's going to be easier to complete by only doing a little bit of gameplay every day. But in the 100% speedrun, the reason we don't just go for 100% at the bottom left is, for example, this shrine, right? By simply just visiting this shrine once, I already have the completion checked. But technically, there's a huge quest line where you have to go back to Gerudo Town, to the Ice House, back to the shrine. You can skip all of this and still get 100% on the map at the end. And that really just feels like you're not really completing the game, right? You're basically just completing the map, which isn't actually a speedrun yet. I really want there to be a speedrun in the future where all you want to do is to get 100% on the map checked. That could be pretty cool because it's going to be a very movement-heavy speedrun that gets all of the Koroks, that not even activates the shrines. Most of the shrines will simply just be discovered. So it would be a really fast-paced speedrun. I can honestly see that run be completable. I mean, you do have to get every single Korok, which obviously takes a lot of time. But this would probably be like a 10-hour run, if I was to guess. Also, oh no, I just died to heat. This should not happen. I've heard in the YouTube comments recently that I'm a bad player for that, so I apologize for the bad display of skill. But, yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about these glitches today, and because I happened to end up on this shrine, I wanted to explain that real quick. People in my chat room ask, why don't you just get that map completion meter to 100% and call it a day? Why do you have to do more things in a Hundo speedrun? And that explanation is why. I think that makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, this run would not feel like a true completionist speedrun. I'm talking about the 100% speedrun again. But only like a map speedrun. That being said, that in itself could be fun too. And I'm looking forward to potentially do that in the future. Now on the topic of 100% speedrun, I'm currently in the middle of one. Gotta be going live on my Twitch in a bit. I gotta jump into the shower first. But thank you so much for watching again today and listening to some of the old Breath of the Wild glitches that I miss a little bit. I will be back tomorrow with 140 days until Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I will probably record on Friday. I will probably record 3 episodes at once and schedule them to upload, just because I'm gonna be gone over the holidays without my PC at my family's place for Christmas. And the uploads will still happen every day, but they will be scheduled and not technically live. That's the only way I can do it. So just as a heads up. But thank you for watching again, and I will see you guys tomorrow.